What did Jimmy Kimmel say about Charlie Kirk? And how did he respond to being suspended? Jimmy Kimmel Live was suspended days after the host criticized Trump's MAGA movement over its reaction to Charlie Kirk's death. Jimmy Kimmel's talk show has returned after comments he made about Charlie Kirk's death during an opening monologue led to its suspension. The veteran late-night host used his show on Monday, September 16 to accuse Donald Trump and his allies of capitalizing on the conservative influencer's assassination, prompting backlash from right-wing politicians and influencers. 2 days later, Disney-owned ABC said that the show would be taken off air indefinitely, and with immediate effect, sparking strong responses from both Republicans and Democrats. The show returned on Tuesday night after Disney said it had had thoughtful conversations with Kimmel, who addressed the suspension in his opening monologue. But what did Kimmel initially say about Kirk? What reasons were given for the suspension? And how has Kimmel responded? What did Kimmel say about Charlie Kirk's death? Delivering his opening monologue, the host said the MAGA gang was desperately trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them and doing everything they can to score political points from it. He also accused them of working very hard to capitalize on the murder. He then played a clip of Mr. Trump being asked about how he was holding up by a reporter 2 days after Kirk's shooting, in which the president said he was doing very good, before pivoting to the subject of construction being done nearby for the White House's new ballroom. Kimmel then quipped, "He's at the 4th stage of grief, construction. This is not how an adult grieves the murder of someone he calls a friend. This is how a 4-year-old mourns a goldfish," he added. He highlighted supposed hypocrisy in how Republicans have responded to Kirk's death, suggesting Vice President J.D. Vance's unfounded claims that most of the lunatics in American politics today are proud members of the far left were complete bull ********. Kimmel drew attention to Capitol rioters who, on January 6, 2021, wanted to hang Mr. Trump's first-term Vice President, Mike Pence, for certifying Joe Biden's 2020 election win. He said, "Was that the liberal left? Or the toothless army who stormed the Capitol on January 6th? The MAGA movement, led by the president, has been critical of the left as a whole since Mr. Kirk's shooting, even before suspect Tyler Robinson was arrested and charged." Why was the show suspended? Initially, Disney and ABC didn't comment on why the show was suspended, but Disney gave more details on its rationale when announcing that the show would return. "Last Wednesday, we made the decision to suspend production on the show to avoid further inflaming a tense situation at an emotional moment for our country," it said. "It is a decision we made because we felt some of the comments were ill-timed and thus insensitive. We have spent the last days having thoughtful conversations with Jimmy, and after those conversations, we reached the decision to return the show on Tuesday." Before the show's suspension, the chairman of the Federal Communications Commission, FCC, Brendan Carr, an independent U.S. government agency that regulates television and radio, had threatened to take action against Disney and ABC. Mr. Carr, a fervent Trump backer, warned the companies during an interview with conservative podcaster Benny Johnson on Wednesday, "We can do this the easy way or the hard way." Further pressure came when Sinclair and Nexstar, two major network operators that control about 20% of ABC affiliates combined, said they would not be airing Jimmy Kimmel Live on their channels. Both broadcasters have said they will not resume airing the program. How has Jimmy Kimmel reacted? The presenter became emotional during his comeback monologue, telling viewers it was never my intention to make light of Charlie Kirk's death. "I don't think there's anything funny about it," he said. "Nor was it my intention to blame any specific group for the actions of what was obviously a deeply disturbed individual. That was really the opposite of the point I was trying to make." He said he understood why the remarks felt either ill-timed or unclear, or maybe both. Appearing tearful again, Kimmel praised Kirk's widow Erica for forgiving her husband's killer at his memorial service, calling it a selfless act of grace that touched me deeply. In contrast, Mr. Trump has said he disagreed, telling the service, "I hate my opponent and I don't want the best for them." Kimmel went on to criticize the ABC affiliates who took his show off the air, saying, "That's not legal. That's not American. It's un-American." He also thanked those who supported him, including his fellow talk show hosts, adding, "It takes courage for them to speak out against this administration. They did and they deserve credit for it." Feud between Kimmel and Trump goes on. Donald Trump celebrated Kimmel's suspension, initially writing on Truth Social, "The ratings-challenged Jimmy Kimmel Show is canceled. Congratulations to ABC for finally having the courage to do what had to be done." Later he insisted Kimmel was fired for bad ratings, and that he had no talent. The president has taken issue with Kimmel and other late-night hosts over the years, as they often use their show's monologues to criticize Mr. Trump and other Republicans. In a post on Truth Social after Disney announced the show's return, Mr. Trump said he can't believe ABC gave Kimmel his show back and hinted at further action. Why would they want someone back who does so poorly, who's not funny, and who puts the network in jeopardy by playing 99% positive Democrat garbage, he wrote. He is yet another arm of the DNC Democratic National Committee, and, to the best of my knowledge, that would be a major illegal campaign contribution. I think we're going to test ABC out on this. In his opening monologue, Kimmel mocked Mr. Trump for criticizing him for bad ratings, saying, "He tried his best to cancel me and instead he forced millions of people to watch this show." Night, Jimmy Kimmel took his spot behind the desk at Jimmy Kimmel Live, straightened his tie, and with a kind of grin that usually signals he's about to roast someone mercilessly, launched into his monologue. The topic of the evening: Charlie Kirk, the conservative commentator who had just been suspended from a major platform. Charlie Kirk, Kimmel began, savoring the name like a chef sprinkling too much salt on a steak, has been suspended. Again. I mean, at this point, Charlie is less of a political commentator and more of a professional timeout collector. If there were frequent flyer miles for suspensions, he'd already have a free trip to Mars. The audience erupted. Kimmel held up his hands, mock serious. Now, in fairness, maybe the platform just confused him with a spam account. You know, the ones that post 30 links a minute, all in caps? Click here to learn the truth. That kind of thing. But nope, it was Charlie himself. And now he's furious. He's calling it censorship. He's calling it tyranny. I think he even compared it to the fall of Rome. Which, by the way, is pretty impressive since Rome lasted over 1,000 years, and Charlie lasted, 12 tweets. Behind Kimmel, the big screen lit up with an exaggerated image. Kirk's face photoshopped onto a Roman senator's body, toga and all, clutching a smartphone instead of a scroll. The caption read, "ET2, Twitter?" "Charlie, buddy," Kimmel said, turning to the camera like he was addressing Kirk directly. "This isn't tyranny. It's not a coup. You didn't get dragged out of your office. You just got told to sit in the corner of the internet for a week and think about what you posted. That's not oppression. That's kindergarten." The crowd howled. But the fun was only just beginning. Meanwhile, across the digital plains of America, Charlie Kirk was live streaming his response. And if Kimmel's monologue was a roast, Kirk's broadcast was a 5-alarm meltdown. Sitting in front of a bookshelf stacked with every conservative title from Reagan to The Art of the Deal, Kirk leaned into his microphone with the intensity of a man who had just discovered someone put oat milk in his latte. "They can't silence me," he thundered. "This is war. This is the greatest assault on free speech in American history. Forget Paul Revere, forget Patrick Henry. I am the new voice of liberty." In the corner of the screen, a chat box filled with comments. "We got your back, Charlie. This is worse than Pearl Harbor. Stay strong, patriot." Kirk continued, "Jimmy Kimmel thinks this is a joke. He makes fun of me from his Hollywood ivory tower, surrounded by his liberal friends and probably sipping on kale smoothies. But let me tell you something, Jimmy. Real Americans don't care about your late-night jokes. We care about the truth. And the truth is that they are terrified of me because I expose their lies." The irony, of course, was that Kirk was saying all this on yet another platform that hadn't suspended him, to an audience that was still able to comment freely. But in Kirk's telling, he was practically broadcasting from a secret bunker while dodging drones. Back at Kimmel's show, the writers had anticipated Kirk's outburst. They queued up a parody video titled Charlie Kirk, The Suspension Chronicles. The spoof opened with dramatic narration. In a world where free speech is under attack, one man stands alone. His enemies are powerful. His tweets are unstoppable. His suspension is inevitable. Cue slow-motion clips of Kirk pounding on his desk, edited to look like he was fighting invisible enemies, while Sarah McLachlan's In the Arms of an Angel played softly in the background. The punchline came when a fake award graphic appeared. Winner of Most Timeouts, 2025. Kimmel wiped away mock tears. "I'm sorry, it's just so moving," he joked. "The sacrifices Charlie makes. I mean, if he gets suspended again, he might have to spend time with his family. Or worse, read a book without tweeting about it." But the saga didn't stop with jokes and live streams. The internet itself seemed to take sides. Memes exploded across platforms. A picture of Kirk holding a sign reading, "Will work for platforms." A fake ad for a new cereal, Suspension OS, now with extra victimhood. A photoshopped movie poster of Home Alone with Kirk's face replacing Macaulay Culkin's, mouth wide open in despair. Title: Suspended Alone. Kimmel gleefully shared several of these on his show, remarking, "The internet might be the one place where Charlie's suspension has actually made him more popular. Kind of like when your annoying neighbor finally goes on vacation. You don't miss him, but you sure love talking about it." Kirk, however, wasn't laughing. His next move was to announce a fundraising campaign titled Fight the Suspension, promising his supporters that with enough donations, he could build a platform that no one can ever take away. Within hours, his website proudly displayed totals climbing into the tens of thousands. Kimmel couldn't resist. "Charlie Kirk raising money to build a platform is like me raising money to build my own laugh track. Buddy, you already have a platform. It's called YouTube. It's called podcasts. It's called every other place you never stop talking. You don't need more platforms. You need a mute button." The crowd roared. By the week's end, the feud had taken on a life of its own. Kirk supporters rallied behind him, declaring him the martyr of free speech. Kimmel's fans tuned in eagerly each night to see how he'd top his previous jokes. The culmination came when Kimmel staged a mock suspension ceremony on his show. He walked out in full referee gear, blew a whistle, and held up a giant red card with Kirk's face on it. "Charlie Kirk," he declared, "you are officially suspended from our attention. Go sit down, cool off, and come back when you can play nice." It was a mic drop moment. And though Kirk fired back with yet another fiery live stream, declaring himself the uncancelable champion, it was clear who had won the comedy round.